to our magic tutorials for chemistry. In the previous video we studied about the quantitative aspects. We learned the Faraday's first law and the second law. So we completed with electrolytic cells the first part of the chapter. So here we will study about the second part of the chapter, that is galvanic cells. So galvanic cells, the input is the chemical energy, some chemical reaction will happen, and the output is the heat or electric energy, right. So this type of reaction, it is spontaneous. So the value of delta G will be negative, correct. Let's take an example for this. So we are taking a cell in which copper sulfate solution is filled. Copper sulfate solution is filled. I will write it as aqueous. Right. Now this copper sulfate solution, it is blue in color. Now why it is blue in color? Because of the presence of Cu2 plus ions. Copper sulfate, Cu2 plus ions, right. So because of this, the solution color, the copper sulfate solution color is blue. Okay. Into this, we will place a zinc rod. Correct. Solution is filled, copper sulfate solution, and a zinc rod is placed into the solution. It is immersed into the solution. Now what were the observations made by the scientist here? After some time, in the solution, the zinc rod was somewhat like this. So what happened to the zinc rod? Zinc rod, it went on decreasing. So what were the four observations made here? So the first observation was the weight of zinc rod. We can write it as a weight. Weight of zinc rod decreased. That was the first observation. Correct. Weight of the zinc rod decreased. Second observation, temperature also increased. Temperature increased. Temperature of the solution increased, or in the beaker it increased. Third observation was the color of the copper sulfate. Correct. The color of copper sulfate, it is blue in color because of Cu2 plus ions. But when you added the zinc rod, when you immersed the zinc rod, the observation was like after some time, the blue color of copper sulfate, that is blue color, disappears. Correct. And one more thing, some PPT, some precipitates was observed. Red precipitate was observed. Onto the zinc rod. Correct. Red PPT was observed. So these were the four observations made by the scientist when they immersed zinc rod into copper sulfate solution. Correct. You can make a note of this. We will write the equation for this. Correct. So Zn, what it will do? Zinc, it will lose 2 electrons and 2 electrons. Just to balance it, I have written it. Zinc, it will lose 2 electrons and form Zn2 plus ions. So this is half oxidation reaction. On the other side, copper, what it will do? Cu2 plus ions, it will gain electrons and it will get reduced to copper. So this is half reduction reaction. Correct. Now the overall reaction, 2 electrons will get cancelled. The overall reaction was Zn plus Cu2 plus, that gives Zn2 plus Cu and some energy. This energy was in the form of heat energy. This energy was in the form of heat energy, which was converted to electrical energy, which can be useful. Right. So this was the equation, overall equation, and the energy released, the heat energy released, right, it was converted to electric energy, which can be useful. So in the previous example, we have seen that the zinc rod, it is immersed into the copper sulfate solution, and the reaction is taking place only in one beaker or one container. Now suppose if it is happening in different containers. So I will take two containers, correct. One container, it is filled with the zinc sulfate solution, aqueous solution, and one it is filled with the copper sulfate aqueous solution. The rod immersed, the electrode, it is made up of copper here. The rod here, it is made up of zinc. So what will happen here? Zinc rod is there, correct. So this zinc rod, it will lose electrons and become Zn2 plus ion. Just to balance, I am writing 2 electrons. So zinc from the rod, it will go to the solution where it will become Zn2 plus ions and 2 electrons will be lost. So zinc, it comes from the rod, Zn2 plus remains in the solution, and 2 electrons, it has to pass through the circuit. So what it will do? We will connect these two cells and a bulb is placed just to see whether the bulb is glowing or not, whether the electrons are passing or not. Right. Now the electron Zn2 plus is remaining in the solution, correct. Already Zn2 plus ions and sulfate ions are there in the solution. Electrolyte will split, right. So Zn2 plus is added more into the solution. The 2 electrons, it will pass from the electrode. So this electrode, it will become negatively charged, correct. It will become negatively charged. So this electrons, it is passing from the circuit. The bulb will glow, right. And over here the electrolyte Cu2 plus and sulfate ions, copper ions and sulfate ions are present. So Cu2 plus, it will move towards copper, correct. As the positive ion is moving towards the electrode, that electrode is positively charged. So this Cu2 plus will move towards electrode. It will accept the electrons and get reduced to Cu and will deposit on the electrode. So what will be the equation here? Cu2 plus accepting that 2 electrons and getting reduced to Cu. Got it? So the bulb was glowing here. The electrons are moving, and we know when the electrons move from left to right, the current flow will be from right to left. Don't get confused. If the electrons move from left to right, the current flow will be from right to left in the opposite direction. Correct. So before connecting, zinc from the rod, I have written here, zinc from the rod, it will come into the solution. It will lose 2 electrons and become Zn2 plus ion. The Zn2 plus ion, it will remain in the solution. Correct. Okay. So what is happening here? The concentration of zinc Zn2 plus ions increases. Now on the other side, in this cell, the 2 electrons which is coming, right, Cu2 plus ions which is already present in the electrolyte, it will move towards the electrode. The electrode is made up of copper. It will accept that 2 electrons in the circuit and get reduced to copper and deposit on the electrode. So over here, copper Cu2 plus, it is moving towards the electrode. So which ion concentration will be more? The negative ion concentration will be more. Hope this much it is clear to you. Correct. So now we can see in this cells, that is in the left hand side cell, Zn2 plus concentration has increased, positive ion concentration is increased. Right hand side, sulfate ion concentration is increased. Why is it so? Because Cu2 plus is going, correct? Here Zn2 plus is coming. So left hand side Zn2 plus ion concentration increases, right hand side sulfate ion concentration is increasing, and because of this, after some time during the reaction, when this is happening, the bulb will stop glowing. The bulb stops glowing. In the beginning, the electrons were moving, the bulb was glowing, but after the reaction, what happened is, in the left hand side or in the first cell, the concentration of positive ions, that is zinc ions, increases, and on the right hand side cell, the concentration of sulfate ions increases, that is negative ions, correct? So in one case it is positive, one side it is negative. So but we have to maintain some neutrality, it should be neutral, right? So as the concentration of positive negative increases, the bulb stops glowing, correct? So to continue this process, what can be done, that we will discuss in the next video. So keep watching. Thanks for watching.